You still don't have a Sega CD? What are you waiting for?
Hey guys, thanks a lot for clicking on the channel. So looking back, Sega's choice to launch a CD-ROM add-on for the Genesis might seem a bit odd, but the Sega CD was very much a product of its time. NEC had just enjoyed success with their CD-ROM add-on for the PC Engine or TurboGrafx-16, and Nintendo was teaming up with Sony to create a CD-ROM add-on for the Super NES. The benefits of CD were evident, and many publishers viewed this format as future of gaming. The Sega CD, or Mega CD in other regions, featured a faster CPU and additional hardware capabilities, but its main draw was the ability to hold games that were nearly 320 times larger than standard Genesis cartridges. Unfortunately, the extra space was often wasted on poorly executed full-motion videos or FMVs sequences that didn't really enhance gameplay. Sales of the Sega CD fell short of the Genesis, resulting in only a few standout titles for the add-on. The issue was that the hardware was quite pricey and didn't have long-term support. This is pretty typical for many hardware upgrades from that era. However, it did come with some true gems. Today we're diving into some of the greatest Sega CD games ever. Now obviously every Sega CD game can be mentioned. I tried to cover different genres and choose one game to represent each franchise. Don't forget to comment your rankings or mention games you feel that I should have made for the top 20. You ready? Let's go. Number 20, Night Trap. Oh, FMV games. When publishers switched to CD formats, they thought these games would be huge hits. Now, don't get worked up about this. I'm not claiming that Night Trap is a quote-unquote good game. Honestly, it's kind of the opposite. Interaction is minimal, the video quality isn't great, and there are definitely better ways to enjoy it on other platforms. That said, Night Trap is worth experiencing at least once on the Sega CD, just to understand why it stirred up so much controversy upon its release. Branded as a video game nasty, it was one of the first titles to receive an age rating in the United Kingdom, which has led to a lot of negative perceptions. In truth, it's pretty mild, and the backstory is kind of fascinating. The game was originally intended for Hasbro's scrapped Nemo console, so it's worth revisiting. Night Trap is all about repetition. You'll need to play this game over and over again, several times in fact, to know all the specific times to check different rooms to stop the baddies and save the day. Yes, I could have given this spot to a more deserving game, but talking about the Sega CD, Night Trap says, acknowledge me.
Please have to go too.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Number 19, The Terminator. The Sega CD had its fair share of lackluster Genesis ports, but The Terminator stands out from the crowd. Rather than just slapping a fresh coat of paint on an old game, Virgin Interactive crafted something entirely new, featuring original levels, enhanced animation, and an amazing soundtrack by Tommy Tallarico, specifically made for the Sega CD. The game also took great advantage of the Sega CD's limited color palette, with backgrounds that truly invoke the feel of a post-apocalyptic world. Like the film, The Terminator follows a soldier fighting against intelligent machines intent on wiping out the human race. The game's stages also mirror the movie's setting closely and even delve deeper into the lore in some aspects. Before the player is sent back to 1984, they have plenty of chances to take on Terminators in the future. While the level design can be a bit tricky and the controls might not be as smooth or intuitive as you would hope, the Terminator on Sega CD is still a significant upgrade over its cartridge-based peer, and in the end, it's an engaging action game that truly lives up to the Terminator franchise. Number 18, Batman Returns. Batman Returns was released on both the Genesis and the Sega CD, with the CD version offering some extra features. In this version, players could enjoy driving segments that showcase the Sega CD's impressive scaling abilities, along with the enhanced music. However, the action platforming parts are mostly identical in both versions, which led some reviewers to label the Sega CD edition as just a money grab. Still, Batman Returns is a fantastic game, and many would argue that the Sega CD version is the superior one. Did you know that the Super Nintendo version is completely different? At its core, Batman Returns features two types of gameplay on a single disc, the classic action platformer and a fresh pseudo 3D arcade driving game. Both games share the same storyline, but their levels are mixed together, but you can also play them separately, which was a cool feature. I'm Batman. Number 17, Keio Flying Squadron. Now, Keio Flying Squadron kicks off with a quirky animated intro that dives into the real history of Japan's Keio era, which is definitely an unusual way to start off a charming side-scrolling shooter. You step into the shoes of Rami, a bunny girl who rides her dragon, Spot, on a quest to find a key to a hidden and powerful treasure. What ensues is a zany shooter adventure filled with creative enemies, engaging levels, and tough bosses, all accompanied by some fantastic CD quality tunes. It doesn't look like it on the surface, but once you get into it, it's a great shooter to have in any Sega CD collection. While Keio Flying Squadron did get a sequel for the Saturn, it shifted gears to become more of an action platformer rather than a shooter. In 1998, a third game titled Rami-chan no Gaiden was released just in Japan, and it took a completely different direction as a party game. Number 16, Shining Force CD. Shining Force was a staple on the Sega Genesis, perfectly satisfying that RPG craving for the console. Even today, they rank among the top strategy RPG hybrids available, so it was a little surprising that the Sega CD also got its own version of that series. However, before you get too hyped up, it's important to note that these are essentially a remake of the two Game Gear versions, preventing it from being higher on this list. It does miss some key features from the first two games, like the ability to explore outside of battles. Basically, you just hop from one fight to the next, but it's not as bad as it sounds. The gameplay and soundtrack are still fantastic, and it really captures that classic Shining Force vibe. You can't go wrong when choosing to pick this game, just temper your expectations a bit. Number 15, Thunderhawk. Before the Sega CD launched, the ability to rotate and scale graphics was heavily promoted as a feature, making it surprising that not many more games took advantage of these features. Core Design, a strong advocate for the system, was among the few developers that really embraced this aspect of the Sega CD, and Thunderhawk stands out as one of the best titles on the platform. In Thunderhawk, you take control of the fictional AH-73M attack helicopter and embark on various missions set in some of the most dangerous conflict zones around the globe. This game truly couldn't have been realized on the standard Genesis hard drive, and it's definitely worth checking out, especially if you're a helicopter sim enthusiast. And if you're interested, a sequel did eventually come out for the PlayStation and Saturn. Number 14, Popful Mail. Popful Mail contains elements of RPG and 2D action platforming. The gameplay revolves around classic running and jumping mechanics, but it also lets players interact with various characters and manage a large inventory of items. Set in a whimsical fantasy world, the game showcases delightful characters and a fun storyline. The protagonist is an elven-bound hunter named Mail who wields a sword. Throughout the adventure, she is joined by a wizard named Tat and a winged creature called Ka, who happens to live in caves. Each character has unique attacks and maintains their own health bars, allowing players to switch between them seamlessly to utilize their strengths. Originally launched on the PC 8801, the Sega CD version introduces new cutscenes, larger sprites, and enhanced platforming features. Some of the bosses are challenging, but give this one a try. Number 13, Soulstar. When talking about this one, you'll frequently hear people comparing this game to Star Fox on the Super Nintendo, and I think that's a valid comparison. However, this game does play much better. Now, put your nostalgic pitchforks down. It is a 3D shooter viewed from behind the ship, but instead of using polygons, Soulstar is completely made up of sprites. This choice works well since the frame rate is solid and it still delivers some impressive 3D effects. What really stands out is that there are sections where you can just move freely in the 3D space, rather than just moving straight ahead. Soulstar is a blast to play, but since it's an exclusive for the Sega CD, there are people that haven't had a chance to experience it. Number 12, Sol-Feace. Really? Another shooter? Yeah man, if they're good enough. And this was the bundle game that came with the Sega CD. Remember when consoles used to include a game? If you love shooters, you might already have this title on the Sega Genesis as Sol-Feace, but this version has several upgrades. It features a fully voiced introduction and Red Book audio. Other than that, it's pretty similar to the game that you'll find on cartridge, but that's not a downside at all. Everything looks and feels brighter and tighter. Challenging yet enjoyable, Sol-Feace stands out as one of the top shooters for the Sega CD. Number 11, Road Avenger. The phrase FMV game might make some old school gamers cringe, but hold on a second. Road Avenger is actually a really good time. This fast-paced animated game puts you in the driver's seat, guiding a character through a vibrant anime world. You're racing against time while dodging a variety of obstacles, requiring you to make some really quick time decisions to navigate through them. The difficulty is intense, and I found my reflexes barely keeping up. Like most FMV games, you'll need to memorize the controls to really get anywhere. But the exhilarating speed and chaotic action sets this game apart from the rest. Honestly, Road Avenger is probably one of the best full-motion video games of all time. Number 10, Samurai Shodown. Now, I'm a big fan of fighting games, and I love SNK, so Samurai Shodown is definitely one of my favorites. This version is really impressive and clearly surpasses the Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo versions. It's a shame that the character Earthquake is still missing though. Samurai Shodown feels more like Street Fighter 2 compared to Fatal Fury, but it still lands somewhere in between. It has a solid combo system, but what really sets it apart is its unique approach. The weapon-based combat makes the distance of attacks crucial to your gameplay. The characters are also more dynamic, with the ability to jump right off the edge of the screen. If you have a Sega CD, Samurai Shodown is an essential title to add to your collection. Number 9, Earthworm Jim. Earthworm Jim was one of the standout platformers of its time. It boasted imaginative level designs, stunning animations, and a wacky cast of characters. The creators really pushed the envelope, making sure that each level felt completely unique from the last. Back in the day, it seemed like every other game was a platformer, so fresh titles like Earthworm Jim were definitely a breath of fresh air. The special edition is often considered the ultimate version of this game. Although the backgrounds aren't as detailed as those in, let's say, the SNES version, it compensates with Red Book audio, extra animations, new weapons, hidden areas, expanded levels, and a password feature. Earthworm Jim appeared to be on track to become a lasting franchise, even achieving mainstream popularity with comic books, action figures, and an animated series. He seemed to go MIA after the N64 game. Groovy! Number 8, V. Here's another JRPG that takes advantage of the Sega CD's storage capabilities, featuring plenty of cutscenes and high-quality music. While V may not be as popular as, say, something like Lunar, it definitely deserves your attention. The plot kicks off when a deadly robot crashes onto the planet V, and is captured by 5 powerful wizards. Prince Sandor, whose wedding day is interrupted by a mech invasion, embarks on a quest for vengeance. While it may not be the top RPG on this platform, it's certainly up there, and it definitely surpasses all the titles from the original Sega Genesis. I really enjoy the blend of medieval themes with futuristic tech in this game. The combat system is quite traditional, but it still manages to engage dedicated fans. Working Designs handled the translation for its North American launch, providing Sega CD players with another grand adventure to dive into. Although it may be a little more obscure than other 90s RPGs, it gained enough of a following for a re-release in 2008. Number 7, Robo Aleste. Robo Aleste is a classic 2D shoot-'em-up, and it serves as the sequel to Musha. Just like the original, it featured massive airborne steam-powered robot samurais set in the 16th century feudal Japan. The plot may be a bit out there, and that long intro doesn't help, but if the idea of flying robot samurais doesn't grab your attention, then this game might not be your thing. True to compile style, Robo Aleste is packed with power-ups and weapon enhancements. Players can either equip themselves throwing knives, ninja stars, bombs, or powerful electric bolts throughout the game. Plus, there are 2 flying discs that float in front of your mech, which can either absorb enemy fire or be upgraded with their own weapons. These armaments would lose their impact if there weren't any enemies to target, and this is where Robo Aleste truly shines. Actually, watching it again, I take it back. That opening intro isn't so bad. Number 6. Silpheed. Fast-paced shoot-em-ups like Silpheed were a great match for the Sega CD, and it was clear that this game couldn't have existed on the Sega Genesis. The ships and obstacles in Silpheed were made up of 3D polygon shapes, which was quite uncommon in 1993, making it stand out among other 16-bit titles. Now, Nintendo's Star Fox also released in 1993 and received a lot of praise for its groundbreaking 3D graphics, but Silpheed took it a step further with more polygons and a quicker pace. The game featured stunning pre-rendered video backgrounds, enabling the developers to create visual effects that couldn't be achieved in real time. Silpheed is one of those rare games that truly made the case for using FMV in gaming. Ask me again next week and this game could be easily in my top 3. Number 5. Final Fight. Final Fight is a legendary side-scrolling beat-em-up that hit the arcades in 1989. The main objective? Take down waves of street thugs and gang members to save a kidnapped girl. Pretty standard, right? Players can expect some crazy moments like stabbing the streetwalkers with knives, bashing Andre the Giant lookalikes with lead pipes, and looking for meat in trash cans to restore your health. One of the coolest features of Final Fight is the choice of the 3 characters to play as. There's the burly pro wrestler who packs the most punch, the Bushin ninja with lightning fast reflexes, and a 3rd character who strikes a nice balance between strength and speed. Now, type all 3 character names down in the comments for cool points and to let me know that you made it this far into the video. I appreciate it. Final Fight made its way over to a dozen gaming systems, but the Sega CD version stood head and shoulders above any other home edition for its time. It definitely outshined the popular SNES version in several ways. For example, it introduced voice acting and a remix soundtrack that took full advantage of the CD format. Plus, Final Fight on Sega CD boasted better visuals than the SNES. While it is true that the Sega CD had a limited color palette compared to the SNES or Genesis, it offered a higher resolution and smoother animations. The CD version also featured an extended intro and unique time attack mode. This is a true beat-em-up classic, which is still awesome to play 30 years later. Number 4. Dark Wizard. So this is a tactical RPG and it was an exclusive game for the system. I think we were lucky to receive a Western release. It has a similar vibe to early Fire Emblem games, but it's significantly improved. One of the standout features is that you can choose from 4 distinct scenarios right from the start, each featuring a different main character, and the differences between each character is pretty significant. Each character brings a unique storyline, greatly enhancing the replay value of Dark Wizard. The gameplay is deep and engaging, complemented by a fantastic musical score and well-crafted cutscenes, making it one of the top titles on the Sega CD that truly deserves more recognition. It's funny how I say a lot of these games have amazing music, right? That's that CD quality. Number 3. Lunar Eternal Blue. Now, Lunar Eternal Blue is a classic turn-based RPG that captures the essence of the original Lunar game in its visual, sound, and gameplay. This sequel stands out with its longer playtime and more intense storyline, an enhanced magic system, and even features a nude character in the opening scene. The game cleverly utilizes the Sega CD's limited color range and its straightforward graphics, beautifully illustrating the fantasy world. Plus, it takes full advantage of the CD format with orchestral music, voice acting, and over 60 animated style cutscenes. As you journey through the game, you'll hop from town to town and delve into various caves and dungeons. While it doesn't break any new ground, Lunar Eternal Blue offers a fun adventure from start to finish. Just when you think you've reached the conclusion of the game, an epilogue adventure kicks in and adds several more hours of gameplay. This game is a direct sequel that takes place 1,000 years in the future. Number 2, Snatcher. Now, Snatcher is a cyberpunk-themed adventure crafted by Hideo Kojima, drawing inspiration from iconic sci-fi films like Blade Runner. It first hit the scene in 1988 for the NEC PC and the MSX2. It later got a remake for the PC Engine that turned into a massive hit before making its way to America on the Sega CD. In terms of visuals, Snatcher stands out as one of the most impressive titles for the Sega CD, with Konami employing some clever programming tricks to nearly double the color palette the system could handle. The audio experience was also noteworthy, featuring around 2.5 hours of dialogue. Although it offers more interactive stuff on the Japanese version, Snatcher does sometimes struggle with its identity, feeling more like a graphic novel than a traditional video game. Thankfully, the engaging characters and well-crafted storyline help compensate for this limited interaction. This is another game on the list that earns the status of must play.
Analysis complete.
Number 1, Sonic CD. Sonic CD had some big red shoes to fill, as fans had sky-high expectations for Sega's flagship series in 1993. While the core gameplay remains similar to the first two Sonic titles, it introduces a few fresh concepts. The new peel-out move offers a fun alternative to the spin dash, the unique pseudo 3D bonus levels are a nice touch, and the ability to save your progress is a very welcome feature. The standout addition, though, is the time-traveling mechanic. Players can now journey to both past and future versions of every level, where their choices lead to either a good or a bad future. Essentially, each of the game's 21 stages has 4 different variations, and striving for all of the good futures significantly boosts replayability. Sonic CD also utilized the Q sound technology, resulting in a much clearer audio experience compared to its Genesis predecessors. I have to admit that Sonic Boom is a super catchy tune. Overall, Sonic CD is packed with excitement, and the showdown with the Metal Sonic stands as one of the most thrilling moments in the series, making this my number 1 Sega CD game. And that's going to do it for my list, guys, of the top 20 Sega CD games. Now, if you've made it this far, you're awesome, guys. Thank you so much. And if you like videos like this, you're probably around my age, so you need to get up and stretch your back a little bit. As always, guys, I appreciate the likes, and if you're new to the channel and you like this stuff, maybe subscribe. Until next week, guys, take care, stay out of trouble. I'll see you later.